So, have you ever felt stuck in your business? Like nothing seems to be working and you're not exactly sure what to do next? If so, I want to let you know that it's normal. Everybody goes through this. So, having worked with so many entrepreneurs who have felt the same way that we do, like I'm pretty sure everyone feels that way from time to time, right? But that's something that we're going to be talking about today. And I have my co-host. I'm just kidding. I'm his co-host. Mark is here. We didn't think he was going to make it, but this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'll give it back to you, Mark, to finish off.
Well, thank you very much for starting it off. We've been getting a lot of requests of like, "Hey, Mark, we don't want your ugly mug when the first video comes on. We want to make sure that Teresa can kind of come on first. So we're actually doing a little bit of a test. We're doing a test today to see how people stay on. But guys, super pumped to jump in today. I actually just got off a training where we're helping to develop some new master coaches, and I'm literally having to put my hat on of like what happens when I feel like I'm stuck. And I got to tell you, like so many times in my personal business, but also in my health and fitness, that I had this thought of like I was stuck. And what we really want to do is we want to help you through this process of getting unstuck. Now, here's the thing. I was talking to my email list this last week, because this process actually came up during one of the coaching sessions that I had. Somebody was like, "Man, I just feel like I'm stuck." And the first thing that I want to like really acknowledge is if you have this feeling of being stuck, like it's just a part of the human experience. Like just the fact that you feel like you're stuck, but you want something different tells me that you're not willing to settle. And literally when I hear it from a coaching session, you guys might think like, what is he going to think if I say this? In reality, I know that it's because you want to take it to the next level and you want to get unstuck. So for me, I'm like, this is the type of person that I want to lead because they're like literally bringing up these things. It's the same thing with parenting. When people are like, "Man, I don't know if I'm going to be a good parent. I don't know if I'm going to be a better spouse." I'm like, well, if you're bringing that up, that tells me that you want to become better. Because here's the thing. People who aren't good spouses, they're not thinking about like, how can they become better? Or maybe they're not good enough, right? And so in this process of being stuck, I want to make sure that before we dive into these 10 different hacks on how you can unlock it, because these are 10 different ways we found not only for ourselves, but for our clients, that you realize that this is just a normal part of business. And I want you to experience it and actually lean into it and go, it's a great thing I feel this way because that means that I want more. That means that I want to make a bigger impact. That means that this is the greatest opportunity because if I get unstuck, now I can help everybody else get unstuck from this exact point. So we are going to reframe this. These are not going to be obstacles or difficulties or struggles. These are going to be opportunities, and we're going to lean in and we're going to share some stuff with you here today to help you get past it. Now, we actually offer this as an opportunity to our email list, and we're actually going to also do it here. We have 13 people so far who've taken us up on this. And that is the opportunity to jump on a one-on-one call with Teresa and I to help you get unstuck. Now, the tactics we're going to be talking about here today are really powerful. But if you have a mind block that says that you're stuck and you keep telling yourself that over and over and over again, my mentor, Josh, says that our limiting beliefs are constantly looking for a story to justify our fears and excuses. And if your brain is focusing on all the stories why you're stuck, you're not going to be able to get unstuck. So step one is jump on a free call with Teresa and I. 20 minutes will be able to get you unstuck. And then take that mindset that we help reframe, leaning into your heart instead of your head, and then implement these ideas. One of these ideas can be a game changer for you. So guys, that's what we're going to do. Welcome to Modern Leadership, where we see things differently. We help entrepreneurs become modern leaders so they can make a huge impact in the world without sacrificing family time or burning themselves out. And how we do that is short, quick tip videos on Mondays and Thursdays, and then longer episodes on Saturdays. We're workshop-based, so we can help dive into very specific things that are going to help walk you through that process depending on where you are in your life. And of course, we'll leave you the link inside of the show notes if you're somebody who's like really feeling like you're stuck. And this could be in business, but this can also be in your health. You know, having been 100 pounds overweight compared to where I am today, like I also was getting stuck in that, in the whole weight loss, but also like being healthy, routines. I was also getting stuck in my LAPD career. I was also getting stuck as a parent, as a spouse. And any of these things that we're going to talk about here today are equally possible for you to lean into when it comes to your personal life. So if we can help you, we would love to be able to do that. So that being said, Teresa, I know I'm kind of like, I feel like I just drank 72, things of pre-workout. But I want to kick it over to you to start with the first hack that we're going to talk about here today.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit upset because I couldn't do the intro. I had it all planned out and everything, but that's okay. We'll do it next time.
My bad.
So, hack number one is a mindset reset. So, we all know that mindset is super important in every aspect of our life, right? But sometimes we do need a reset when we're feeling stuck because feeling stuck is like a story that we're telling ourselves, a thought that keeps coming up, but it's because we perceive something in our business or in our life a certain way. And as we continue to repeat this thought over and over and over again, which sometimes is happening in the back of our minds, sometimes we need to stop and think about what is going on. Why are we feeling stuck? So, this is why we kind of call it a mind reset is because yes, we could be doing personal development, but sometimes we're not really focusing on the things that we need to focus on as far as our mindset. So this is more of like a challenge for you to really stop and think of, okay, what is it that is like a trigger that keeps me feeling stuck? And then start changing your perspective a little bit. Start challenging those limiting beliefs that may be keeping you stuck. And maybe find a coach that can help you with that because sometimes, I mean, most of the time, honestly, we will get stuck in our minds and we won't be able to see the big picture. We have, like areas that we can't really see because we are so involved in our own thoughts and we have this emotional attachment to these limiting beliefs. So when someone on the outside can come in and look at this and see things from a different perspective, that can really, really move us forward because it gives us that kind of reset that we need.
I love that. I love that. I love it. One of the things we teach inside of our life coach certification is the reason why our brain is trying to tell us and to get us to believe that we're stuck or that we're confused or that we're overwhelmed is because it'll keep us in safety. It'll keep us into not trying something new, of not getting uncomfortable, of like just the past and just staying stuck over there. Because in reality, if we do that, we know for sure that we're going to be able to survive because we're here right now. But when we can tap into our heart and come into a different place, which is it's very easy for us to do for others. It's just hard to do it through our own lens because we have these limiting beliefs are coming up, which is why the power of a coach, getting somebody to see and spot those and to find out where the root is, that's where it's the game changer. And that's why we are offering like actual one-on-ones. We've never done this where we offer free one-on-ones for just everybody who's like watching this on YouTube. And who knows, maybe we never will again, depending on how many people we get. But when it comes down to it, everybody's individual reason why they're stuck is different. I wish we could just come on here and go, guys, just have a mindset reset. You're going to be good to go. But you have to get to the root of the problem. And as a life coach, I know how to get to the root of the problem by asking you questions and finding that like really deep limiting belief and helping you dissolve it so that the rest of this training is actually going to be helpful. So yes, step number one is figuring out like how can you do a mindset reset? And that could be you getting uncomfortable, reaching out to somebody, getting on a coaching call, getting into a new mastermind, like finding a way to take that next step. And a lot of times it's the most uncomfortable step for you to take. But once you do, it just feels so amazing once you do. By the way, I just want to welcome everybody who is here live. Welcome Ed and Shelly. Carmen is here. Aaron is here. What is going on? And then, of course, we have a new member, Anna, who is a new member of our inner circle. Super pumped to have you here on the team. And let's jump into hack number two. Now, this one is related to business, but I can also relate this even to your personal life. And that is like the customer feedback loop. The customer feedback loop. So whenever you're feeling stuck, sometimes what we do is as business owners, we've like become something new in the process, right? We've gone from, for me, I just want to lose weight. I just want to be able to fit into my police uniform. I just want to be able to jump over the wall. I just want to be able to chase a suspect. Like that's what I originally wanted. But because I had to grow first and I had to, like they say, like your outward success is an expression of your inner growth. I had to grow internally to become somebody else entirely different in order for me to take on the habits of somebody who just is eating healthy, somebody who's just exercising. And there's things that I had to learn in order to make that happen. But see, if I were to tell people, hey, you know what? This is what you need. What you need is personal growth and personal development. How many of you guys would have been like, dude, I just want to lose weight. Like, why are you talking to me about I got to get into personal development and personal growth? And the reason why is because I'm at a different level now than I was back then. And if you start communicating to the person you are today, You're going to miss because the person that you want to connect with is the person that you used to be. And that's why getting into this customer feedback loop is so critical and so important. It's like listening to what your customers are telling you. It's the same with your kids. If you're trying to get them to do something, you're like, you know what, kids, I want you to eat healthier, and I need you to eat broccoli, and it's got like 72 different nutrients, and the beta carotene in carrots is so important to your sight. And they're like, I don't care, right? And so if we're like, well, we kind of find out that what they want is more time on their iPad or more like ice cream or more, then what we do is we got to figure out like, how do we bridge the gap between those two pieces, right? It's like, how do I go, hey guys, like, do you want to get ice cream after this? Like, it's going to be awesome. Like, I know we go to this Menchie's place where you get to put on like all of these different things. And my daughter like loads up like the sour worms on there. And she's like all good to go. I'm like, we're going to go out and get that. As soon as we finish dinner tonight, we're going to go out there and get it. All right. So if everybody finishes dinner, we're going to go get the ice cream. And now I'm kind of like selling it in a way where it's actually what she wants and it's what I want. But if I hadn't been willing to like ask for feedback, if I hadn't been willing to listen when they were telling me, I would be just talking about like how great broccoli and cauliflower and all this stuff is. And they're gonna be like, that's great, Mark. I hope they don't call me Mark, by the way. That's great, Dad. But yeah, can you just continue on getting me ice cream, right? And so it's this process of being open to like getting customer feedback, because sometimes you feel stuck because you're communicating from the place you are. And remember, what we talk about like attracts, right? If I talk about excelling in your business while excelling at home, if I talk about excelling in your career while excelling when it comes to your family, naturally people come here who are like not just all after making money. I mean, making money is awesome, and I hope that you make a lot of it. But a lot of people who come here are like, yeah, I would love to make money, but I also want to make an impact at home. I also want to create a legacy for my family. And so I will push away people who are like, I just want to make money. And I will attract people who are like, I'd like to make some money, but I'd like to make a huge impact at home and at work. And because I'm talking about that, I attract that. And it's the same thing with you. If you're talking about like personal development and personal growth, you're going to attract people who are at your current level. And if you're trying to help them with something that was like at a level that you used to be, you're just not going to be able to connect with that. So really thinking about like, am I using my customers' feedback in a way that actually helps me find out what they truly want so that I can communicate with them and I capture the right people's attention? All right, hack number 2, over to you.
Actually, this is hack number 3, and it's the pivot strategy. So, can we all agree that if we're on the road and we're headed somewhere, we're headed to a destination, but we find ourselves going around in circles, that we would probably at some point stop and look at our Google Maps or something to see if there is a pivot that we can make, like an exit that we can take, right? So this is kind of the same thing where, because we feel like we need to be on this path that we initially started with, that we need to keep going until forever, right? But it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes we do have to pivot, whether it's in like a business model or some type of offerings that we have. Like, we need to evaluate what we're doing and where that's taking us. And if it's not taking us anywhere, if it's taking us forever, or if you're not finding results, then you need to switch it up. You need to make some changes, and you need to find out where those changes need to be made. Now, for us, that was in our business. And I mean, there's different areas of our lives that we've had to make pivots. However, in our business, this was something that took us a really long time to actually implement. We didn't realize we could just make a pivot, and it wasn't a huge change. It was just a slight pivot, because we realized that we were putting so much time and energy into this one business model, and it wasn't working for us for like 6 years. And then when we finally realized that we can make certain tweaks and develop new skills, that we could find like a whole new business model and a whole new audience, which completely changed our business. So this is really about like thinking that you don't need to stay in the same path that you originally started with. You're going to grow, and you're going to find new things. You're going to develop new skills, and it's necessary for us to change. And just like in personal development, we continually change because we want to get better. So think about this in your business or even in like your relationships. Like think about like what kind of pivot you can make to see better results.
Awesome. 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 And you're right. That was number 3. But like that pivot strategy, I always think back to our business because um, we were pushing, we were like trying to grow as much as we possibly could. And we hit a lid based off of where we currently were. And it was in network marketing. And I was thinking that that was the end game. And I didn't realize that that was just a stepping stone for us. Not saying that it's the same for you, but it was a decision that we finally made after doing it over and over and over again of like, maybe there's a way that we could still help people, that we could still coach people. And it just so happened that this thing called life coaching had popped up 3 years in a row for me. And I had convinced myself not to do it. I didn't have the money and all this kind of stuff, which is crazy because during COVID, I'm like, hey, let's just do this, right? Which was the time that most people were like, not leaning into that kind of stuff. But I was like, I'm going to open up. I'm going to be open to it. And that pivot changed the game for me. I'm retired now because of that pivot, right? And so thinking about this in terms of like, what are some of the pivots is a difficult conversation to have. And I also think it's the greatest opportunity that a lot of us have. Instead of like forcing, think about like, maybe this is like not only my end goal, but this is like a really good stepping stone. So that is number 3. Now, number 4 hack on how to get unstuck. By the way, have you heard like from these other 3s? Like there's going to probably be one for you to lean into right now. Not all 10 of these, but like, have you heard so far? Like maybe one of these, it's like, you know what? That is something that I really need to think on. We don't think you need to actually implement this in this moment, but it's just something to expand your horizon and really think on of like, how could this be the thing that gets me unstuck? All right. All right. Number 4 is networking and collaborating. Okay. Networking and collaborating. I didn't realize this was such a big deal for me until like where I am now. I take a look and take a step back and go, oh, it's because I was networking and collaborating. Now, Teresa knows that whenever I go like on a networking event, I will be the person that's back in the hotel who is having the least amount of contact with humans as possible. And it's like my introvert in me. But every time that I do step out, every time that I do connect, and we actually have something in Scottsdale next week where I get to connect with some incredible life coaches that I've been able to coach, it really gives me the ability of not only connecting with them, but really just like seeing things differently as well. So when it comes to networking and collaborating, like how can you build relationships with other businesses? How can you connect with other people who are maybe in your field instead of seeing them as like competitors? Start seeing yourselves as like, you guys are on the same mission, right? We all do things differently. I know for me, my mentor is Josh Coates. He's an incredible coach. He doesn't coach like me though. Like there are a lot of similarities. He has a different energy than me. And it's the connection of both of those, how we got connected. We co-created our life coach certification. And like, if I had never been open to doing that, like, I don't know where I would be right now. So it's such a game changer when you think about like, how can I open my network instead of literally just forcing what it is that I'm currently doing right now. It could be people in your industry, outside of your industry, different businesses, whatever it is. Like whenever you get into a new room that you don't feel comfortable with, like that's a good idea. It's because you're living outside of that comfort zone and you have so much to gain. That's why it's hack number 4 is like really exploring the opportunity of like collaborating, of talking to other business owners, of getting into partnerships, like not just thinking it has one right, best, only way. I feel like we have that a lot. It's like, there's one right, best, only way to do this. And if it doesn't fall into that, like I have to like keep my blinders on. And like there is the opposite problem where you try everything and you only try it for like a couple days and then you stop, right? But I feel like so many of us are like so gung-ho. Now we know personal growth and personal development that we have to lean into this, that we actually try and force it for too long instead of being willing to like adjust and pivot. I actually think about when I think about this whole collaboration and network and adjusting and pivot, I think about Kurt, right? Who's literally on here right now, helping us with all the behind the scenes stuff. And like when I first connected with him and we were having conversations, and then I saw him with his audio and editing of video and like the skills that he had, I'm like, we need to like double down in this. Like instead of being like a jack of all trades, like you've got a gift here. You've been doing this for such a long period of time. And like, there's just something special about this. And we need to get you more into that. And I remember having conversations with him. And then when he made that pivot, it was like, man, everything is falling into alignment. And it didn't have to do with me. It just happened to do with me just saying, you know what? I really feel like this is maybe the area for you to go all in with, right? And since then, I mean, it's been incredible. And when you find something that you really love, that you're actually really good at and you're passionate about, it will help you go further faster. And so thinking about like, what are some of the pivots? What are some of the networking opportunities? What are the ways to get outside of the current group of people that I'm talking to and collaborate with can be that thing that will help you get unstuck. All right, back to you. I feel like I'm a
Yeah,
newscaster. Back to you at the studio.
the studio here, our living room. Yeah, I love that. Just to kind of piggyback on that is, networking will. It's not only about just connecting with other people so you can gain, right? It's also about like realizing that there's other people with gifts that they don't even realize that you can kind of like shine the light on, and they can go and like do amazing things with them. So I love that. Okay, so hack number 5 is time management overhaul. So, we talked about like the mindset stuff at the beginning, right? That's super important. However, now we go into strategy. And mindset is important in order for you to be able to implement some of these tactics and techniques and using tools to become more productive, because sometimes we can feel like we are stuck because we don't have the right techniques to be able to implement some of the work that we want to do, right? So there's so many things that we can do when it comes to time management. I'm not going to go over all of it. I just want to give you the idea of looking at your current tactics, looking at your current strategies. Do you even have a strategy when it comes to time management, right? Because a lot of times that could be the thing that is holding us back, because we're not really like focused on, okay, what is it that I'm doing right now? What can I stop doing and what can I start doing that's going to get me in the right direction, right? So this is like, once you've gone through kind of like this mindset reset, and you've also kind of realized that, okay, maybe I want to do a pivot, go into something, how can I be more efficient? Like, I am all about that. If you ever, ever check out the stuff that I do and the offerings that I have, it has a lot to do with organization, productivity, and efficiency. And it's because it was out of necessity that I had to kind of master some of these skills, because I'm a busy mom. I was working full time before, and like my husband was obviously in law enforcement, so it was like I had to be really creative and really flexible with my time. So this is all the stuff that I have learned to do, and I've applied it to my business. I've applied it to our business so that we can be the most efficient that we can. And it wasn't about doing more work, because we did that for so long. It was about finding what was most important and then doing that efficiently. So look at what you're doing now. Like, what is your current strategy, if you have one at all, and go in with that and start finding ways to do that so that you can be more productive.
I love that. Love that. And I actually looked ahead to your next hack, so I'm not going to like add to that. But it is so powerful when you realize that sometimes the feeling of being stuck is because you're doing the same things over and over and over again, and you've packed your plate so full that there's really no opportunity to do something different, right? Because I mean, well, especially when you have kids and a business and a career and all this kind of stuff going on, it's very hard, especially if you're a one-man show or one-woman show, to be able to handle all of that. And I know that your next hack is going to really help. Okay, but for me, hack number 6 is continuous learning, okay? Continuous learning. This is something that I always realize that if my energy is off, it's because I haven't learned anything new, either that day or that week, or I just haven't like really continued to develop myself like I need to. When I'm learning things, when I'm expanding my horizon, when I'm diving into podcasts or books, mastermind teams, coaching, yes, I get all that stuff done to me too. Like I do that like because it's like I'm learning and developing and growing. It doesn't feel like I'm stuck. It feels like I'm just learning the next lesson. And I need to find that in this text. I need to find this in this coaching session, because by doing so, it just naturally makes me feel like, oh, I'm not stuck. I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm trying to find the answers. And when I feel like I'm not plugging into that and I'm just staying the same, that's when it's very easy to feel stuck, because I feel like a part of me is like, well, I'm not doing anything to like make this any different, right? Now, there's going to be times and days where I can't do that, where I can't necessarily do it as much as I want to. But the quicker that I get back on track, the quicker that I stay in this pattern of continuously learning, the further that I can take it, but the further that my mindset goes around it. I mean, literally, I just got off the call that I was talking to you guys about is like we have 37 brand new life coaches that were graduating next week. And one of the things that I wanted to impart in them so much is that this is just the beginning. You've literally gone to semi-pro. You need to become a pro. Like when it comes to coaching, when it comes to whatever it is that you're trying to do, when it comes to like leaning in, you've got to figure out like, how do I get to that next level? Because if you're trying to get to the next level, you're never going to feel and be stagnant and like feel like you're stuck because you're constantly trying to grow into that next version. And when you stop growing, you don't just stay the same. It's kind of like gravity. You get pulled back down. So one of the things that I talked to them about was like continuing to learn and develop their coaching skills, whether that's with us inside of our Master Coach training program or somebody on the outside. Like really, I think that's irrelevant. It's a matter of like, are you continuing to develop those skills? Because as you continue to go, this is kind of like my thoughts about the specialist versus the general practitioner, right? You go to the general practitioner when maybe you have a cold, but if you have something very specific like Crohn's disease for me, I'm like, give me the specialist. Like I want the person who's literally dedicated their time to be able to help me through this specific situation and get to the root of my problem. Not because there's something wrong with the general practitioner, but I'm like, I want to be able to go and it doesn't matter how much it costs. I want to be able to go to the resource, to the person who knows the most about it, who's going to be able to help me. And that's what I feel like the continuous learning does, is you learn deeper about your specific trade. You continue to grow. You're never satisfied with where you're at. And when you're doing that, you feel like I am on track. Even if I feel in this moment stuck, I'm still learning and growing. So I'm going to be able to find my answer. That's why hack number 6 is focus on continual learning. All right, you're up.
All right. So the next one is delegate and outsource. Now, we sound like a broken record because we always talk about this. And at the very beginning of our business, like this wasn't something that we knew about. And when we did find out about it, we were like, well, we don't really have the money to do that because like we can't hire people to help us. And for a long time, it was just Mark and I. And sometimes like Mark was the one really pushing through, and I was kind of like in the background, kind of like a VA. And, we kind of went back and forth with that. And it wasn't until we realized that finding people who can do the things that, first off, we don't want to do or that they're better at than we are could propel us forward so much faster. It was like, oh, okay, well, why didn't we do this sooner? So we don't want to go back and say, like, I wish we could have done it sooner. Okay. So that was a lesson that we had to learn, right? So now that we know that, we recognize how important it is to just hand off tasks that are better done by other people. Now, you don't have to hire someone for a lot of money. You don't have to, have like a whole team to help you with your business. At first, it always starts off with like just some help. And it could even be not related to your business. It could be someone helping you with the household chores, right? Because that also takes time. So anything that's going to help you really focus on your business and the specific things that are really going to move the needle forward, that is what we're talking about. Now, I have a little bit of a quote here that it really resonates with people. It's something that I posted on social media. And it really hits home. So delegating is not a sign of weakness. It's a smart business decision that it's a smart business strategy to achieve balance and success. Because really what that is like you're not handing things off because you're not good at these things. Yes, maybe that is not your strength. However, it's smart to be able to find people that can help you that are much better at the things that you want to hand off, because it's going to help you focus on the most important things in your business.
Yeah, I mean, if we could highlight one, I mean, that would definitely be one of them, because there's probably things that you're doing in your business that actually feel like they take your energy. Like you hate doing them and you're like, this is just a part of business and I don't want to do this. I don't want you to think about just the time that you'll save with delegating, but I also want you to think about the energy that you'll be able to put into the other things that make a difference in your life. And it can literally be 4 or 5 hours a week. taking those tasks off your hands are like a total game changer. Okay, so number 8. Now, hack number 8, I don't want you all to rush to because this is typically what you'll rush to, but I do want to call it out because it is something that will help. And that is like refreshing your messaging slash branding. All right. So what I mean by this is like actually looking at the current status of your stuff, right? One of the things I like to ask is like, if I go to my social media account, number one is, would I hire or fire myself for being on my social media, right? Am I talking about what it is that I'm doing? Am I breadcrumbing stuff? Do people know, like, and trust me? Or am I just like leading with just what everybody else is? Or are people getting to know me and my personality? Like, of course, being on these calls, you guys kind of get to know me. I don't want to say like and trust because I think some of you don't. But really, you get to know me and like my values, what's important to me, like how Teresa and I have conversations here, which is exactly how we have it in real life. Like it's this way of like really getting to see who I am. And I think sometimes we don't take the time to slow down to go, okay, what does the picture look like, right? So obviously we can't read the label for inside the box, but sometimes taking a step back and going like, what does my messaging and my branding actually look like? Like if somebody came upon me, well, they know who I am. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a gut check. And then it might be time to make some adjustments. Now, here's the thing is our message or our branding will attract a certain person, right? It will also repel other people. And so it's good to get that right. It's not going to be you're not going to get it right all the time. And you're definitely not going to get it right the first couple times. All right. But at the same time, like sometimes a branding refresh or a messaging refresh actually does more to help you than it does to help your potential clients. The truth is like energy that you have when you're communicating with people. And if you have that energy of like, I got my stuff on lockdown, like people know, like, and trust me, people get an opportunity to see who I am. I'm the real authentic me. You will bring that into your messaging. You will bring that into your conversations, your sales calls, all those kind of your coaching sessions, right? But if you feel like that's off, you'll also bring that energy in too. So sometimes we do things and we think it's for other people, but in reality, it's really for us. And it's okay to do that because in reality, like it brings us that energy. We have a different level of not only commitment, but realization of like what we're doing for people in their life by realizing like, oh, okay, I feel comfortable and confident in my messaging slash branding. Now, this is definitely not my area of expertise. This is something that Teresa, I know that she has gone through a lot of like branding and messaging academies, and she could actually talk to you about some of those offline if you're somebody who does want some type of refresh. But this is definitely something that I wanted to bring up because anytime that I've done some type of refresh, a change, even in the name, like I used to not be modern leadership. I used to be something else entirely different. Even just changing that just changed the flow of everything. And it also changed like how I see things or I saw things because I was willing to lean in and to do that update. So that is number 8 is think about a refresh of your messaging or your branding.
Awesome. Okay. Hack number 9 is something that we don't really talk about a lot, but I think it's worth mentioning. Having a financial health check, a financial health check. So this is about reviewing and optimizing your expenses and kind of exploring maybe new areas that you or new revenue streams or like some sales tactics or even like we mentioned before like networking, finding affiliates and they promote you and you promote them. There's so many different ways that you can really increase your revenue just by looking at like where the money is coming from, right? And what is going out. For us, like this was something that we didn't really pay attention to at the very beginning. Like we were just, like we weren't like spending money like crazy. However, because we were both working full time, like we had some disposable income that we can put into our business. And that was not a smart idea because many times we weren't even like keeping track of how much was going out. And we knew for sure not a lot was coming in. So we were probably breaking even or even like underwater sometimes. So make sure that you actually look at this. Look at this from a perspective of, okay, this is my current situation. How do I make it better? Right? Finding opportunities. Like I said, finding revenue streams, different new revenue streams, or other types of sales tactics, or even looking at your current offerings. Like, okay, I have this offering for people, and maybe when I'm talking to people, like it's not resonating with them. Like they're, telling me that that's too expensive or whatever, right? You kind of take a look at that, but don't just go off of like what other people are saying, because you may just be talking to people who are not willing to spend the money or just like really can't afford what you have. But don't just look at that. Look at like the value that you offer. Look at like your skills that you have developed and price your offerings accordingly, right? So obviously this is not like our area of expertise, but this is something to take a look at too.
Yep. And guys, it's not Christmas over here yet. I'm sure you could hear the bells. That's our
Oh,
puppy.
sorry
He's
about
trying
that.
to tell us, number one, a year that he needs to go to the bathroom, or he just wants some attention. So
He wants some attention. He just
he
went.
probably wants some attention. But yeah, when I think about that financial health check, like one of the things that has helped me the most is thinking about like, where does the majority of our income come from? And then double down in those activities rather than just spending time and energy everywhere else, right? Like the 80/20 applies to your business too. Where you're producing and getting 80, like 20%, what are the 20% activities you're doing that are producing 80% of the results in your business? And that's where you want to do. That's where you want to dive in and spend more time there. Okay. Now, number 10, we're getting to hack number 10 is engaging with your community. Now, I got to pause here for a second, okay? Because sometimes people think their community are the people that they're coaching and the people that they're bringing in to their business. And that is not your community. Those are the people that you are lifting up to your level of growth. When I say engaging with your community, I mean a group of people who are at or slightly above your current level of growth. This is putting yourself into a room that sometimes feels like it's not the right room. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. It's like, oh man, like, should I even be here? Am I good enough to be here? And the answer, whenever I hear my brain telling me that, is like, absolutely, this actually proves that this is the right room for me to be in. Because if I was comfortable, I would not be in a room of my community. That means that I'm just in a room of safety. So when we think about like putting yourself in a room where you have community and you can reach out to and you can get their ideas, you can get coached by them, you can get feedback from them, mentored by them, like anybody who can see what it is that you're doing and can give you some feedback is a game changer. Just make sure it's the right community. All right. It's the right community. Because like Teresa said before, like sometimes you'll find customers and clients reaching out and telling you certain things, or potential customers and clients, and you wouldn't even want them to be your customer or client, but you will literally redesign your entire business to help support them. And then you're like, I don't even enjoy my business anymore. And it's the same thing that you can do when you're thinking about like the people that you're connecting with, right? If you're connecting with people who don't share your same values and same goals and similar like likes and dislikes, it's very easy for you to now start taking on some of the things that maybe you don't even necessarily love about them, right? And so making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right level of people is critical. I mean, literally, that's why we have our inner circle here and why we put together all of our programs. Like, we're not everybody's cup of tea, but somebody who's like family oriented, somebody who doesn't want to burn out, that doesn't just think about throwing more time or energy at things, who wants to be a powerful leader so that they can like not only influence their kids and model the right behavior for them, but also make a huge impact in other people's lives and in their businesses. Like, that's what we're all about here. We're not just, trying to make money, which is not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing, but it's just not our jam to talk about like how much money you can make and just have it be that. It's always or it's never at the expense of the connection with our family or the legacy that we want to create, which is why we attract a certain level of people. But that's what we have here with this community. And when you lean into that, yes, you're going to repel some people. But in reality, when you feel great about it, when you're like, no, this is what I want to create, even if it's harder, even if I know that if I started talking about making money more often, I would get more followers, I would get more people to come in and be a part of this, it still doesn't fulfill my passion, which is why like I make sure that number one, I protect our community that's here, but also I continue to protect myself from getting into communities where I feel like is not the good fit for me, okay? All right, now looking back at these 10, I really want you to pick one for you to lean into. I want to hear it in the chat. Which one of these is the one you're going to lean into? I want to break down which one had the biggest impact for us. But we've literally gone down every single one of these and done them, and then also helped clients through these at the same time. All right. So number one, The biggest one for me was pivoting our strategy. Like for me, being and getting opened to life coaching and understanding that I didn't have to just do this one business the way that I had always done it in the past allowed me to be able to retire from LAPD. If I had still been trying to force something that in reality was there to be a stepping stone and I made it my end goal for some reason, like I would be exactly where I had been all along. And being open to pivoting that strategy, which was a hard conversation to have, and it didn't just happen over one time. It was like turning a battleship, like we say. It happens a little bit at a time. It allowed me to lean in and actually take full advantage of that pivoting strategy. But then also number 2 is the continuous learning, is continuing to get better, right? I didn't just settle with becoming a regular coach. I'm like, how can I get deeper into coaching? How can I teach people how to coach? And by doing that, it helped me become even better and more impactful with coaching, but not only coaching for other people, but also coaching for my own self. So I would say that those are the 2 that have made the biggest difference in our lives. Now, here's the thing. You might get to this point and you might wonder one of 2 things. Number 1 is, Mark, tell me a little bit more about this life coach piece, the life coach school that you have going on, how to become a part of that and see if it's a good fit for me. And if that's the case, I will leave you a link inside of the notes so that way, oh, Rocket's here to see me. So that way, when if you guys are interested in actually getting an opportunity to learn a little bit about our life coach certification, that you fill out that form and I will reach out to you with the details. The second person might feel like, you know what, I do feel like I'm stuck. Like, this is great, Mark, but like I feel like I have this limiting belief, this thing inside that's not going to allow me to lean into any of these 10 tips. If that's the case, we are still offering a free 20-minute one-on-one with either Teresa or I. Fill out that same application, and in the application, just make sure you let us know who you want a one-on-one with, whether you want one with Teresa, me, or also we're going to bring Rocket on here, even though he's like trying to eat Teresa right now. And that is what we're going to do. All right, Teresa, you got anything? Oh, look at him.
I know.
Are you trying to bring him
He
in
wants
for
my
like
hair.
close the sale?
He's trying to eat my hair right now.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God, see?
Rocket.
He can't hear you.
Oh, he can't? Oh, that's right. Okay, guys, let me just say this. Like, being stuck is 100% like a thought that our brain is trying to convince us in order to stay where we currently are. Being here, making it to the end of this video is literally evidence, like I said in the beginning, that you have what it takes to get past this feeling of stuckness. If Teresa and I can help you, we are 100% in. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, definitely subscribe, because we give you this level of hope, this level of ideas and strategies and mindset every single week, actually 3 times a week. And of course, if there's anything we can do in the process, fill out that form. We'll reach out and we'll share how we can do that. Jump on a call with us and be able to help you stop feeling stuck so you never have to feel that way again. All right, guys, you guys have an incredible weekend. Thank you for spending this time with us, and we'll see you real soon. Bye, everybody.